You know that feeling when you scroll through 100 oven listings, all the glossy photos promise perfect pastries and crispy fries, but then the one you finally order ends up heating unevenly, or the air fry function feels more like a gimmick than a real tool? I've been there spending a weekend trying to salvage a batch of cookies that came out flat in the middle, wondering if the true convection promise was just marketing fluff. That's why I wanted to make a video that actually digs into the everyday experience of a double-wall oven before you click Add to Cart. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The ZLINE 30-inch Autograph Edition double-wall oven is trying to be the kitchen's workhorse and showpiece at the same time. It's got a sleek stainless steel body, those eye-catching white matte doors, and champagne bronze handles that look like something out of a designer showroom. On paper it ticks a lot of boxes: true convection for even heat, an air fry mode that claims oil-free crisping, and a self-clean cycle that supposedly spares you the scrubbing. But what does that mean when you're actually juggling a Sunday roast, a batch of cupcakes, and a quick snack for the kids? First off, the double-wall layout is a real time saver if you often find yourself cooking two dishes at different temperatures. I've watched a lot of people struggle with a single oven, pulling a tray out, adjusting the rack, and then waiting for the temperature to settle. With the ZLINE you can set the lower cavity to 300 F for a slow-roasted chicken while the upper cavity stays at 425 F for a tray of roasted veggies. In my own kitchen test, the turkey cooked evenly, the skin turned golden, and the side dish was perfectly caramelized, all without swapping pans or fiddling with the thermostat. That kind of separation is where the value truly shines, especially for families that love a big dinner or for anyone who likes to bake multiple trays of cookies at once. The true convection system is more than just a fan. ZLINE uses a dual fan setup that circulates air across both the front and back of each cavity, which means heat reaches every corner. In practice, that translates to less hot spots on a pizza crust and more consistent rise in a loaf of bread. I tried a batch of sourdough in the lower oven. The crumb was uniform, no dense patches at the bottom. Compare that to a conventional oven where you often have to rotate the loaf midway through. The convection also speeds up cooking time by about 10 to 15%, which is handy on busy weekdays. Now, about that air fry mode. The promise is oil-free, crispy results, and the reality is a bit nuanced. The upper cavity can be switched to air fry, and you get a rapid hot air blast that mimics a countertop fryer. I tested frozen French fries and chicken nuggets. The fries came out crunchy on the outside, soft inside, and I didn't have to preheat for long. However, the basket capacity is limited to a single layer, so you're not feeding a crowd in one go. If you're used to a dedicated air fryer that can handle a full tray, you'll need to run a second batch. That's not a deal breaker, but it's a hidden trade-off for people who expect the oven to replace their countertop device completely. The touchscreen control panel looks modern, but it takes a minute to get comfortable with. It's responsive, and you can switch between convection, bake, roast, and air fry with a tap. The downside is that the glass can get smudged from steam, and you might end up wiping it with a cloth that leaves streaks. In a busy kitchen, a physical knob can sometimes be more satisfying. But if you're okay with a little extra cleaning, the digital interface actually offers precise temperature increments and timer settings that are hard to find on older models. Self-cleaning is a feature that can feel like a double-edged sword. The ZLINE cycle heats the interior to about 900 F, turning food residue into ash that you can wipe away. In a test run, the oven took roughly 2 hours to complete, and the kitchen stayed noticeably hotter for the duration. If your home has a decent ventilation hood, it's manageable, but in a smaller apartment it can be uncomfortable. Also, the cycle consumes a fair amount of electricity, so if you're watching your utility bill, you might reserve it for the occasional deep clean rather than after every heavy use. Aesthetic touches matter for many buyers, and ZLINE leans heavily into that. The white matte doors contrast nicely with the stainless steel frame, and the bronze handles give a premium vibe. That said, the finish is a bit more delicate than a full stainless model. I noticed a faint fingerprint after handling the doors, which required a quick wipe with a microfiber cloth. If you're planning on a high-traffic kitchen where kids are always opening doors, you might want to keep a cleaning wipe handy. Who should consider the ZLINE autograph? If you're an avid home cook who routinely prepares multi-course meals, values even heat distribution,